माला सुधा कुंभ विबोध मुद्रा विद्याभिराजत्करवारिजाता अपार कारुण्य सुधाम्बुराशिं श्री शारदाम्बां प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम् शङ्कारूपेण मच्चित्तं पङ्कीकृतमभूत्यया किङ्करीयस्य सामाया शङ्कराचार्यमाश्रये प्रह्लादवरदो देवो यो न सम्मःपरो हरिः न सम्मोपासकं नित्यं तं न सम्मगुरुं भजे श्री सच्चिदानंद शिवाभिनव्यनुसम्मभारत्य पितान् यतीन्द्रान् विद्यानितीन् मन्त्रनितीन् सदात्मनिष्ठान् भजे मानव शम्भुरूपान् सदात्मत्यान् निरतं विषयेभ्यः परान्मुखम् नौमि शास्त्रेषु निष्णातं चन्द्रशेखर भारती विवेकिनं महाप्रज्ञं धैर्योदारक्षमानिधिं सदाभिनवपूर्वं तं विद्यातीर्थगुरुं भजे अज्ञानां जाह्नवीतीर्थं विद्यातीर्थं विवेकिनां सर्वेषां सुखतं तीर्थं भारतीतीर्थमाश्रये विद्याविनयसम्पन्नं वीतरागं विवेकिनं वन्दे वेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञं विदुशेखर भारती गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. Offering this speech on behalf of the Shringeri Guru Bandhavas, all of them put together at the lotus feet of Mahasannidhanam Jagadguru Shri Shri Bharati Tirtha Mahaswamigal and Sannidhanam Jagadguru Shri Shri Vidushekara Bharati Swami. Namaskaram to all of you. It's a rare evening and a rare moment for all of us. Just a few hours left for the grand 71st Ardhanti celebrations, which is to happen tomorrow for our revered Guru Mahasannidhanam Jagadguru Shri Shri Bharati Tirtha Mahaswamigal. Tattvaloka and Shringeri Guru Bandhava channel was kind enough to transmit a series of lectures commencing last week, and Mahopadhyayas and Sanskrit scholars and regular pravachana kartas have delivered wonderful lectures in Tamil, in Sanskrit, in Hindi, in Telugu and in Kannada. So, as a sequence to it, we have been bestowed with the opportunity to speak to you today on the topic Mahasannidhanam, the guiding light in our lives. All of you may remember, last September, October, we had one interactive sessions. A set of people raised about 12-13 important questions relating to Guru. Some of them called me a few days back, once this flyer was sent, and shared the idea that the younger generation, the young devotees of the Mutt, when they go to Shringeri, when they have the darshanam of the acharyas, or when they watch them on the television, many occasions their minds naturally associate acharyas in forms and names and as human beings. So a request was made as to what are the ways and means, the practical ways and means to get over this misconception so that Mahasannidhanam remains a guiding light in our lives. So I felt this request was extremely genuine for the reason my first visit to Shringeri was in 1977 for a Navaratri. After that, I have only seen a few Vijayatras and made a visit again in 1993 when I was 28 years old. When these set of people raised this doubt, went back in time to say, maybe I was also trapped with the same situation in 1993. So having traveled 28 long years with the Mutt and its acharyas, it's our duty to save the time of these young devotees to share a few basic fundamentals, which will, if imbibed, can save this distance of 25 years and can possibly make them to work faster and grow progressively, both in a religious and in a spiritual way. So this is the foundation for this talk. And therefore, we first have to need to know something about the Peetham as a concept and Guru as a concept. Guru is defined in million ways, trillion ways. There is just no one definition or one way to understand it. But for today's talk, let's understand it from one of the perspectives suggested by Vedanta. We all know, as an Advaiti, as one who believes in the philosophy or doctrine of Advaita, Brahman alone is real, the rest is an illusion. And the potent energy or the power of Brahman is Maya Shakti. So, in a non-existing world, Brahman alone exists. And it's divine, it's pure, it is Satchidananda. When creation, manifestation happens, when Maya reflects on one of the three gunas, on pure Sattva, we get Ishvara for our worship. When we say Ishvara, it means all the deities. When Maya reflects on a mixture of three gunas, Sattvam, Rajas, and Tamas, we as Jivas are born. So, Brahman with no gunas. Ishvara getting reflected on Sattva. And Jivas manifesting because of a mixture of the three gunas. So what is the significant difference between Ishvara and Jiva? Ishvara is a controller of Maya because it doesn't have Rajas or Tamas to get tainted. Whereas Jivas are slaves of Maya because we have a mixture of all the three gunas. That's the significant difference between God and Jiva. So, first step of understanding is there is no significant difference between Brahman and Ishvara, other than the fact Ishvara manifests. Now, to ensure every one of us as Jivas, struggling Jivas, to realize that we are nothing but verily the Brahman. Because the Kutastha or the consciousness or the Brahman which resides in us is superimposed by a reflected self. And the superimposition brings all the trouble to us. So, we stay as Jiva as long as we believe in superimposition to be true. Now, see the compassion of Brahman. It wants every Jiva to progressively move forward and realize that he is nothing but Ishvara. So how does he do? So, in the multiple, numerous, plural manifestations in this universe, Brahman allows the manifestation of Guru Tattva. So who is a Guru? A Guru in form and in name will appear like a Jiva. He will appear like us. But in spirit, he will be Ishvara. What is the difference? So in form and name, he will look like us. But in spirit, he is a controller of Maya like Ishvara. And that's why our Vedanta very clearly says, don't see any difference between Brahman, Ishvara, and Guru. All the three are one and the same. If at all there is a difference, Guru sports a body like us for our benefit, to ensure that these struggling jivas progressively move upward. So this is Guru Tattva. Now the second aspect which all of us should need is Guru Parampara. So gurus emerge and they go back. There are several Paramahamsa sannyasis in this country. In fact, our order keeps repeatedly referring to Sadashiva Brahmendra. But there is also a tattva of a guru creating a parampara. Does it happen? How does it happen? See, two examples are often cited for that. When you melt gold, you get only liquid gold and purified gold. When you melt gold, you don't get copper. And in case you get copper, then what is melted is not gold. Simple chemistry. So, a Guru Parampara, unlike Jiva Parampara, where we are caught in the quagmire of, say, Prarabdha, because one will be born one way, the other will be born another way, different attitude, different qualities within the same family, all this is inevitable. But in Guru Parampara, it doesn't happen so. Melt gold, you will get pure gold. Then remelt that pure gold, you get purer gold. Remelt that purer gold, you get purest gold. This is the progression it makes. And the second example we normally give in our parampara, when two yatis, the Guru and the Sishya Acharyas, give darshan to us, how should we see them? We've been asked, we've been trained to understand it that way. It's like lighting two jyoti lamps, which we do every day in our houses. When you light the two lamps and move back a few meters away and prostrate before it, do you see a difference between one lamp and the other? No. Maybe you can say one lamp was lit few seconds earlier and the other lamp was lit a few seconds later. Yes. 11th November 1974, Mahasannidhanam emerged in this throne. 23rd January 2015, 22nd January 2015, Sannidhanam emerged. That's the difference. So, Guru Parampara is a tradition in our heritage. To develop it a little further, Avichinna Guru Parampara. What do you mean by Avichinna? Unbroken lineage of gurus. Gurus come and gurus go. And the lineage doesn't stop. As a guru is trying to move out, the next guru comes and takes it over. Is this possible? Two examples are cited, which in fact, two speakers in the course of this series itself cited it again. And it's worth citing it the third time. The Philosopher's Stone's example. Sparshamani. Sparshamani or Philosopher's Stone it's a philosophical understanding. When it touches iron, it transforms into gold. So it has got the power. It can transform any metal into gold. But it is incapable of transforming metal into yet another Sparshamani. It can't, one Philosopher's Stone cannot create yet another Philosopher's Stone. It has that limitation. Whereas Guru Parampara does not have that limitation. A guru can make a Sishya a replica of himself. A guru prepares a Shishya, makes him a guru and moves. That guru replicates a Sishya, makes him a guru, moves. So this chain becomes unbroken in the process. There is no disconnect, discontinuity, or a period of influx, a period of uncertainty. No. 1,250 years, we have not had an uncertainty. And let it be any million years hereafter, we will not have an uncertainty. Because you can't find a parallel this long to say traveling some 12 centuries of gurus. There is no parallel in history. And the second example is something which Krishnamurti Sastrigal cited. I think that's very relevant. He was narrating it in Tamil. Therefore, I thought I should repeat it. He was giving a beautiful example from Vedanta. He said, how does Panchabhutas emerge in terms of Vedantic sense? First comes Akasha, which reflects sound. From Akasha comes Vayu, sound and touch. From Vayu comes Agni, sound, touch and form. From Agni comes Apas or water, sound, touch, form and taste. And from Apas comes Prithvi or earth, sound, form, taste, touch and smell. So he says, the sanctity of this Guru Parampara, this Avichinna Guru Parampara is the tapas of every Guru gets accreted to the next Guru. It's 1+. So what you started in the 8th century and in the 21st century is an accretion of the Parampara, the repository of tapas shakti of 35 acharyas together. So we understand Guru, Guru Parampara, Avichinna Guru Parampara. Now the fourth step, Avichinna Guru Parampara of Jagadguru Shankaracharya. That's important. Who is our founder? It's not somebody ordinary. He is verily Shiva. Sakshat Shankara says it's Ashtottara. Shanmata Stamanacharya. Yakyana Samhasana. All this we have it in the Vrindavan. Okay. So, why we say Shankara as a Jagat Guru? There are only 2 people who have been adorned with this unique title in the history of Sanatana Dharma. The first one to be conferred the title of Jagat Guru is Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. Vasudeva Sutantevam Kamsa Chanduramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. And after 5,000 years, it was conferred on Shankaracharya. So, Guru Parampara, Avichinna Guru Parampara, Jagat Guru Shankaracharya's Avichinna Guru Parampara. So, in this birth comes the 5th important segment. In this birth, just think for a minute. When you have had the good fortune of doing a darshanam of a Guru Parampara, founder of which is Adi Shankara, and you have a lineage of Gurus in an unbroken tradition, perpetuating Sanatana Dharma. If you become a devotee of that Parampara, then whether you want it or not, you become Avichinna Sishya Parampara. See, I hail from a village. My mother's village is Melmangalam. It has a history of at least 400 years associated with this matter. The 25th Acharya has sung about this village in 1620. So go to any devotee, you will be able to trace a few hundred years, a few centuries. So remember, whom are you first praying to? Understand these 5 aspects first in your thought process. I'm requesting the young devotees. Who are you? A Guru Parampara, an Avichinna Guru Parampara, Jagat Guru Shankaracharya's Guru Parampara, in which you are a Sishya. How fortunate and how blessed we should be to be a recipient of this grace. Can we afford to lose it? Now, how does it reflect in our lives? When we were children, we were stunned to see when Jyeshta Mahasannidhanam offers the Chandramoulishwara Puja, when he puts the roses, it will go like a magnet and stick. How many of us have seen it as children? How many times we have seen it? Did we not see that in the life? Are we not seeing that in the life of our Mahasannidhanam? Is it not getting repeated again in the life of Sannidhanam? See, in a human effort, we call this as human monotony. Monotony comes out of, say, a pattern which nobody likes it. But here in Avichinna Guru Parampara, there is a divine recurrence, an assurance. What happened in the 8th century is again happening in the 21st century. No difference, except for time, except for the surroundings, except for how that world at that point of time in an illusion reflects to us. But the inner core has not changed. The traditions have not changed. So there is a divine recurrence. One. A divine continuity of that recurrence without a break. As a result of which there is a divine protection to every Sishya. Why? Because the Acharyas of this lineage stays in divine bliss. Why do we say it's divine protection and continuity? Go and ask your parents. And they will tell about their parents. They will in turn tell about their parents. As we have a Guru Parampara with history, every family who has been a traditional devotee of this mutt has experiences to share. It has experiences to record in some form or the other. And therefore, there's a divine recurrence, divine continuity, divine protection, and above all, because the Acharyas of this Peetham stay in divine bliss. So the next question that will immediately come up for our consideration is, we see Acharya as a sannyasi, but we also see Acharya as a human being. And we also see human beings as sannyasis. These are all the impressions that run into the mind of youth because we are always in touch with them. Our concern now is about the next generation devotees. How much you imbibe quickly, your children are going to be the first beneficiaries besides you. So let's understand, in fact, these are all well-known concepts. So people who have been traditionally listening to pravachanams and talks may think, why at all these basics or why at all these things? I have to again repeat, there is a request by the modern minds. Please explain this concept in a conceptual, logical way. If you say repose faith, if you start quoting from scriptures, if you say these are attributes, all right, we have faith. It's not that we lack in faith, but we would like to understand it more logically so that it sinks into our minds. That's the request. And therefore, we are moving in a slightly unconventional, it's the same truth, but put in a slightly different form to benefit a modern mind, which has the inquisitiveness, which has the curiosity to inquire, and which says, what appeals to me is only logic and rationality and not mere faith. So it is to this target we are trying to persuade them to understand what this Guru Parampara is. So let us understand 4 variations. Human beings who have progressed and graduated themselves and gone into the sannyasa ashrama. In this 35 years, I have myself seen it. Many of you would have been seen it. Many of you know much more, even earlier. I have not seen Jnananda Bharati Swamigal, but he was in Grihasthasana. He was a lawyer. Finally, he became a sannyasi. We know Swami Advaitananda as an example, because he's one person who inspires me a lot because I know him personally before he became a sannyasi. And the change is 180 degrees overnight. That's the power of Guru's blessings. So we see human beings becoming sannyasis, where they have been in this world of duality, part of this world, and progressively understanding this world to be an illusion and getting the blessings of a Guru to become a sannyasi. We also have at the other extreme Jivan Muktas, who may not come under a Guru Parampara order. Sadashiva Brahmendra. For Brahmendra, everything was just illusion except Brahman. Sarvam Brahmavai. So he had the authority, because he belongs to that order, to ignore to overlook, to be indifferent to this material world. He found this material world to be purposeless by him, indifferent. Third comes, we also have Jivan Muktas who happen to be the Pitadipatis of this Shringeri Guru Parampara. Chandrasekhar Mahaswami, Jagadguru Srimad Abhinav Vidyadhyata Mahaswami. And in one of the occasions, I have also written some time back, our Mahasandikam asked one of the Sishyas, in one of the conversation, just casual statement, but pregnant with spirit. So, yeah, Jivan Mukta adorning the throne of transcendental wisdom as a Pitadipati. For him, even though in spirit, even though in thought, he would like to be a Sadashiva Brahmendra, namely becoming indifferent. Read the history of Jagadguru Srimad Abhinav Vidyadhyata Mahaswami. We would have lost him in tapas, into meditation, had not his guru stopped him and said, you have to now preserve the mat. That's your priority. So, they are forced by Jagadguru Adi Shankara, after realizing themselves to be Jivan Muktas, entitled to throw this world as illusions and not bother about any one of us. They have been put on a throne to guide us. So, those Pitadipatis, which is our Guru Parampara, in spirit, they are Jivan Muktas. But they have to deal with illusory world like you and me every day, which compulsion a Jivan Mukta doesn't have. So they deal with illusions every day. But how do they deal it? They deal it indifferently. And they float. And they are extremely relaxed and enjoy total freedom and liberation as they deal with you and me in this illusory world. That's the difference. So when I'm saying all this to understand, when you see him as a human being, this is the mistake we make. This is the mistake we make. So they deal with you and me, but with the indifference. In fact, Mahavidwan Mani Dravid, once when I met him, he used to say this. See, as we watch television, Acharya watches each one of us like a big television screen. You come, you are blessed. You move. The next person comes, he is blessed. And the screen moves, nothing gets registered. Because he is indifferent. He is free. In contrast to all this, comes the fourth, the Sishyas. The Jivas, like you and me as devotees, we are sunk in samsara. We are attached to this material world with bondage. We love this world. We don't want to leave this world. And because, therefore, we deal this world along with our emotions and passions and bondage. And therefore, we sink into the ocean of samsara. So, in human beings, you are able to see four variations. Spiritually matured human beings, from a human being becoming a divine being, getting into the ashrama of sannyasa. 2, human in form, divine in spirit, he has already become a Jivan Mukta. 3, human in form, divine in energy, he is already a Jivan Mukta, but stays with you to ensure that you progress from the ocean of samsara. So he deals with you, but with indifference, with no bondage. And 4, we as recipient of such bountiful grace get entangled and trapped into the ocean of samsara. Therefore, all the four have names. All the four have forms. Can you therefore bring all of them as mere human beings? That's a mistake which you should not make. As Sishyas of Sanatana Dharma, we are human beings in form, thought, action, deed. But they are not. This difference has to be necessarily borne in mind. Therefore, when Sishyas go to Sringeri for darshan, the choice is always with the Sishya, because the Guru remains the same. Krishna, Bhagavan Krishna is the same. His preachings of Bhagavad Gita is the same. You yourself will say, I read it 5 years back, I understood it in a particular way. After 5 years, I understand it in a different way. After 15 years, you will understand it in a much different way. So that shows that you are progressing. It's the same script, same syllables, but why should it give you a different meaning? Because it is divine words. It is not textbook written by some author, which gives you only one singular understanding. This is dynamic. It can cater to anybody depending upon their capacity. So, when seated in the throne to give darshanam, some Sishyas see Mahasannidhanam as a human being. Then you will get the guidance and assistance as that of a human being. Some worship Mahasannidhanam as a divine being. You get the blessings and including material well-being and welfare, because Bhagavan has assured in Bhagavad Gita, one who surrenders to me, I'll take care of his welfare. So once you believe he is a divine being, then you are protected first. First thing is you are protected. And once you are protected, your well-being is taken care of. It is his responsibility, not anymore yours. So there are devotees who belong to that category. Now comes the third set of devotees who are spiritually inclined. They understand through the guidance of Mahasannidhanam that this world is illusion. So when the right time comes, he just either through a glance or through a touch or through a smarana, spiritually nuances them and they start progressing spiritually. And they consider, and to them, Mahasannidhanam will be a Jivan Mukta. Now ask the question which we asked 20 minutes before. We are caught up in a dilemma. We want to see him as a spirit, a divine spirit. But when we see the human form, when he speaks, when we address, so we think that he is also human. It comes to us naturally. It's quite natural. Nobody can escape from that. Let's not deceive ourselves. But every time if you train your mind, it's a question of training the mind. On what? Based on empirical data. So, you should decide as a Sishya whether you come under category 1, seeing Mahasannidhanam as a human being, or category 2, seeing Mahasannidhanam as a divine being, or category 3, seeing Mahasannidhanam as a spiritual being. It's up to you. See the Guru Parampara. See, Sannidhanam came in 2015. Now we are into 2021. Ask any management expert in this world. It would defy logic. The succession by corporate empires, the succession in politics, the succession in governance, succession story is never without infight, never without bloodshed, never been very peaceful. See any part of the world. But see the transition here. Because it is not caught in the cobweb of Prarabdha. It is pure gold remelted again to get purer gold and purest gold. See the transition in 6 years. See, we are celebrating the 71st Vardhanti in the name and seeking the blessings of Mahasannidhanam, who is not seen at all in any of these events. Because it is all done only for the welfare of the world, not for any personal goals. All the initiation is done only by Sannidhanam. See the transition, see the succession. So, it's one of the greatest management techniques. We can unravel hundreds of such things within the mud, which will define a McKenzie's theory or any theory for that matter. So with this base, I want to raise 15 questions in succession, rapid fire questions to youngsters who are listening to this talk and who will listen later. Now, whenever you get this block, mental block of seeing Mahasannidhanam as a human being, ask these questions to yourself. These are the 15 questions. I'm not going to give an answer. It's for you to answer. Have you ever seen Sringeri Peetham or Mahasannidhanam acting as a power center in your life? Go and ask anybody. Not only with Mahasannidhanam, go and ask the whole Sringeri Parampara. Go and ask your grandmother. Go and ask your great-grandmother. Go and ask anybody who's associated with this mutt. See, when you have qualities which are very unique, it is the tendency of a human being. We are now testing human qualities. Has Sringeri Mutt acted as a power center in history? Except for one occasion, Vidyaranya Maharaj, it was not a power center. He created Vijayanagara Samrajya to stop invasion into the Vindhyas, to protect Sanatana Dharma. So, was it a power center? Question one. Has this Peetham or the Peethadhipatis cast an influence over the society, saying that I'm the divine protector, nobody else is there? Trying to be connected to power centers. See, if either you should be a power center in modern life, or else you should have the influence to be connected to the power center. Tell me, ask Sishyas. I want youngsters to answer this question. Has at any point of time this has influenced? 3, if you are not able to influence, at least you should have a status building. Have you built status at any point of time in the mutt to say, we want to maintain this? 4, have we gone and done anything for fame and recognition? Anywhere? Has any, on a singular occasion, Mahasannidhanam or the Peetha or the Guru Parampara, have they said, please do this for my fame, for my recognition? Once. Let one Sishya say. Because the children say, we don't want to see him as a human being. Correct. You are right. They are genuine. Therefore, to that rational, logical mind, these questions need to be answered by you. Has there been any occasion to seek fame or name? 5, has there been any occasion to seek publicity or popularity? Have you ever seen Mutt doing that? Or the Peethadhipatis doing that? 6, see the way they think. See the way that we think. We think million dirty things. And see the way they think. Have you ever in the history of Sringeri Mutt, any Acharya's thought process has been out of Sanatana Dharma? Give me one instance. No, it happened this way. Give me one instance. Because it's all there, recorded in history. So how they think. 7, how they talk. When they speak to each one of us, do they try to impart dharma? Do they try to encourage us to do our anushtanas? Is the connect a devotee has with his Acharya for any other purpose? Does Acharya talk anything else for you and me? Because as human beings, how do we talk? What do we talk? What do we think? You should relate it. You should ask this question to yourself as youngsters. Modern mind, rational mind. So how does he think? How does he talk? Eat. How does he eat? How many times we eat in a day? Mid-meal, large meal, small meal, snacks, tea, coffee, ice cream, go to a party, attend a big dinner. Today, the puja got over in Malaganeshwara Koil only around 2:30. After that, they'll go and do snana, perform their anushtanas, and then their big shake once a day. Sleeping. You and I sleep how many hours a day? Acharyas possibly retire to bed around 11:30, 12, and they wake up at 3:15. Not for one day, not for 1 week, not for 1 month. The moment they come to this throne, till their mortal coil departs from them. This is the routine. So, thinking, eating, sleeping, time management. In fact, you should, whenever you find the occasion, listen to the interview of Naveen Holla, because Naveen Holla is hardly a person who can be identified anywhere. He is in Chingeri. Prathama Sishya of Mahasannidhana, who has learned Tarka directly from Mahasannidhana. In one of his interviews given way back, when he traveled with Mahasannidhanam, learning Tarkam from place to place in the 1994-95 camp, he gives an interview. I'm stunned, astonished at the time management. Every day he will be in one, in Ajay Yatra, all of us know, every day he will be in one village or in one town. But his routines don't change. He says, it's baffling for me how he is able to manage his time with so many things. Memory. The kind of memory. Acharya will always say, I don't remember anything to memorize because I don't also forget. I neither remember nor forget because it's a reflecting mode. But therefore, it can recall any data anytime. Have you ever seen these 4 conditions in Acharyas? Anger, fear, stress, tension. So, I have put 15 qualities of human beings before you, to the young minds. Ask this question to yourself. We will qualify 16 out of 50, each one of us, preferably 25 out of 50, because we have even split qualities. But here is a person who sits in the throne in a human form, sans all these 15 qualities. Yet, your mind says, I feel I'm struggling to understand, to get over the thought process of the block that he is a human being. Please answer these questions to yourself. And if we are able to get out of one out of these 15 qualities in this Janma, any one of the 15, then Mahasannidhana becomes a guiding light in our lives. Remember. See, these 15 qualities are attributes of a human being filled with defects and deficiencies. Somebody is completely sans these defects and deficiencies. I'm not bringing a Jivan Mukta to the level of a comparison. Please, as I said, conventional listeners, please do not mistake me this time, because this talk is oriented more towards the next generation who wants logical answers, logical inquiry. So now the question you should ask now is, okay, we agree. 15 out of 15, we will qualify. Acharya will be 0 out of 15. All right. Then, how is this possible for them and not possible for us? That's the natural question which each one of us will ask. Because, again, the trap, we see him as a human being, not as a divine or a spiritual being. So, what makes the difference? 1, are you, even for a second, can you remain selfless? If you are selfish, even by a tinge, you are bound to be acquiring one out of the 15 qualities automatically. Selflessness. 2, absolute surrender of their ego. Have you ever seen Mahasannidhanam claiming, it all happened only because of me? Ishvara Ichche nadakattu. In Guruvude prasadam nadakattu. So, a human form sans ego, selflessness, being selfless and being without ego. 2nd. 3rd, very important, absolute faith in Ishvara, my God. See, we will all say we all have faith in God. It's a misnomer. Recently, there was a major incident that happened which had an impact on the mind. So all of us were there in Sringeri. So each one was narrating some perspective of that event or the occurrence. So one was saying, no, the other side knows this, that, politically well connected. So many things, so many data was filled. Sannidhanam was, in fact, the first Mahasannidhanam for 2 minutes, and then later the Mahasannidhanam, after listening to all this. Leave all this part. Our Raja is above us. Ishwara. He is the Raja for the whole universe. He knows what to do. So when we moved from Mahasannidhanam to Sannidhanam, the same rhetoric we submitted. Very faithful, each one of us. And look here. Sannidhanam says, our Raja is above us. He is the Raja for the whole universe. He knows what to do. Both have not met each other. Exactly the same words. Matter of, say, half an hour difference. The faith in divinity. Absolute ease. Fourth, faith in one's own Guru. Unquestionable, unfathomable belief in their Guru. I don't know how many of you saw today's Abhishekam at Malhaneshwarar Home. The Shastri, the Pandits were helping the puja inside the Sanctum Sanctorum. One of them, they're moving a little. For a very short while, Sannidhanam was holding the Panchavatra. Hardly for a minute or two. And Mahasannidhanam wanted to use that during the course of the sequence of its performing the event. You know, the way he gave that Panchapatram to Sannidhanam, I don't know how many of you seen it today. And if there is a recorded version of it, please go and freeze it and see it. My God. If you are able to live a fraction of that percentage of bhakti with our gurus, we will certainly progress in spiritual life without a doubt. So, this Guru Parampara, Sannidhanam is a guru for us, yet he is a Sishya to his Guru. So, he plays the role of a guru to us and does the role of a Sishya to his Guru. When Jyeshta Mahasannidhanam's Adhishtanam was to be consecrated, this is something the person who saw narrated it. 3 Shivalingams were brought from Kashi. That's what he told us. And placed before Mahasannidhanam for consecration. Mahasannidhanam took one of the Shivalingams, rubbed it all over his body. Oh, Mahapurusha, Mahapurusha, Mahapurusha. He says that the gentleman, the devotee who saw it, how many of us in our lifetime cannot see this? He says, for once I was blessed to see the divine ecstasy in which Mahasannidhanam was placed, doing his bhakti to his Guru. Absolute ecstasy. Taking the lingam and rubbing it all over the body and chanting, Oh Mahapurusha. So, unstinted, when somebody asked years, decades before to Mahasannidhanam, you always think of your Guru, you have said, can you now tell where your Guru is? Referring to Jyeshta Mahasannidhanam. That came the reply, yes. Jyeshta Mahasannidhanam is just entering Sharada Kumi. He is sitting in Guru Bhavan, in Guru Nivas, and saying, Jyeshta Mahasannidhanam is entering the Sharada Kumi. Their mind does not get disconnected even for a second. It is in continuous contact with their Guru. So this is the Guru Bhakti this Peetam and its Acharyas have. Authority over knowledge, authority of knowledge over scriptures, which all of us know. Because every Guru is successively renamed the same title, Pandita Rajaguru. And by whom? Great doyens of Vedanta. Not ordinary people. We have written a few episodes about Sannidhanam, how these Vedantic experts have conveyed their impressions about Sannidhanam. We have written a few episodes about it. Knowledge, ocean of compassion, forgiveness. This is very, very important, very, very elementary. How many times each one of us would have been advised on this important doctrine called forgiveness? See, there is an instance in Mahabharata. Mahabharata has different versions and interpretations. And what I cite is one version of interpretation which suits a modern mind. How technically it matches with the original script, I can't assure. But it impresses a modern mind. Therefore, I'm narrating it. When Draupadi was disrobed and she came back and shut the door and it did not open because she locked her heart. It opened only for her Sakhi, Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Krishna enters. And when Draupadi cries and says, why should this happen to me? When I am considered to be a woman preserving chastity, why should I be disrobed in public? Krishna replies, look here, Draupadi, it's a divine sequence, it's a divine plan. You are not at fault. There has to be something, the end and the destruction of Kauravas has commenced. You are one of the pawns where Lord makes certain divine moves. So this is one move to ensure that they get disturbed. You are not at fault. And therefore, you have an obligation. She said, what is the obligation? You should forgive Duryodhana. She was stunned. She said, why should I? Krishna says, vindictiveness emanates out of ego. Vindictiveness is dushkarma. It is papam. He has inflicted damage on you, but doesn't mean you should be vindictive to him, because vindictiveness comes out of mind and ego, which is illusory organs ultimately. And anything that sprouts out of mind and ego has aggression in it, has a vengeance to retaliate, then you will not get divine help. Unless you forgive and take up the larger cause of fighting adharma, I'm not going to be on your side to help. You can decide. See what our scriptures teach. All of us should read Mahabharata and Ramayana. It's a must for every young child, young parent. Please don't miss these two epics in your life. When you're having born in Bharata, you have lost your life. So, how many times Mahasannidhanam would say, when there are conflicts between families, within families, between families, he says, how many times you would have taught this truth to the families? Unless he has the mind to forgive, how would he preach it? A mind which has the ability to forgive alone can say this with conviction. Tapas. And above all, yogic power, which Krishnamurti Sastrikal highlighted it so beautifully in his lecture. Because it is in Tamil, I'll just take 2 minutes of it to narrate it in English. What is yogic power? Yogic power is not using siddhis. Siddhis get acquired by constant practice. Because siddhis emanate out of efforts of mind and ego. Arise out of efforts through the bodily actions. It is somehow part of the body to some extent. Whereas yogic power has nothing to do with the body, mind, and intellect. It transcends time, cause, effect. It is limitless because it's a power exercised by Brahman, sitting in a human form called Guru. I need to narrate one incident in support of that, which all of us know. When the Shivalingam, when news came on 23rd February, early morning at 8 o'clock, that the Shivalingam in Rameshwaram broke, someone immediately conveyed to our administrator. And look at that man's efforts. Within 3 hours, he arranged a new Shivalingam. And 3, journeyed from Sringeri all the way, carrying the lingam to Rameshwaram, not knowing whether this lingam will be placed inside the sanctum sanctorum or not. Clueless, absolutely clueless. But who sent them? I have written this in the Guru Bandhava group a week after that event. And this was a narration given by a gatekeeper to us when we were in Sringeri. Mahasannidhanam gave a divine send-off to these three people along the Shivalingam, standing at the portico of Guru Bhavanam and watching the car moving away from Guru Bhavanam to Rameshwaram, non-stop. They all reached the next day morning, which is 24th, not knowing 6:37 it has reached. Until evening 6:37, everyone was clueless whether the Shivalingam will be taken inside or not. When we met one of the 3 across the Tunga bridge and asked him, very, very tensed, sitting in Rameshwaram, clueless, not knowing what to do. We were stunned at the answer he gave. No. Maybe you were all tensed. We were not tensed at all. Surprised. Why do you say no? Mahasannidhanam gave us only one instruction. Shiva is coming with you. It is not just a lingam. Shivan is coming with you. Okay. Do it. Have the greatest reverence and respect when you carry this with you in the car. 1. 2. You should not drink even a drop of water. Till such time, Shivalingam is placed in the sanctum sanctorum of Ramanatha Swami. Not a drop of water. And 3, therefore, we were waiting, doing our upasana. We only did not know when it will happen. But we were sure to know, we are sure about ourselves that it is bound to happen because Mahasannidhanam has said it will go. Till such time, don't eat. So he would not make us suffer fasting for several months or fasting for our life. He said, you should have Bhiksha only after you install it. The 3rd, after that was completed, happily, and when they journeyed back, I wrote it in the Guru Bandhava channel. All this is factually right, except for one data. I said that they returned very late in the night because it's possible that many people will read it. This is now our group, mostly our group people. I should tell you this fact. When they reached back on Friday, it was early morning, 3:34. Early morning. And do you know who was there to receive them at the gate? It's our Mahasannidhanam. How blessed should these 3 devotees be for completing the mission, spiritual mission, successfully. At 3:30, he waited in the gate to receive these 3 devotees and heard the news that the lingam has gone inside. A testimony for yogic power. Once a saint applies yogic power, well, it's an astram. Nothing can stop it. Believe. So now you had 15 human qualities, 10 qualities which are divine. And when a human form has all these 10 qualities embedded as part of it, do you have to still think that he is a human being or change your mind and start praying to him as a divine being? What should we do today on the eve of the 71st Vardhanti of our Mahasannidhanam? What should be our offering? Our offering should be, henceforth, I will not see Acharya as a human being. It's a mistake I have done all these years. See, now you see the shades of difference between the two. We as human beings live through every moment with bondage. Whereas Acharya in a human form allows every moment to pass through them as a witness. We as a human being own everything we do. We are so possessive. We are so egoistic that whatever we do, we claim credit to that. It should be mine in exclusion of everybody else in this world. Acharyas don't own anything. They are a mere witness, an observer of whatever happens in this universe. We are therefore stuck in bondage. Whereas Acharyas float in freedom. As somebody can float in thin air, in Mars or Moon, Acharya is able to float with absolute ease, absolute lack of tension, and in absolute freedom, trusting their own gurus who brought them to this pitam and Ishvara. Because Vedanta says Brahman, Ishvara, and Guru are verily the same. Don't see any difference. It is Sishya's sin, Kuttam. The Sishya is going to see all the three as different. Then you are caught in the web of duality. Then we come to the last segment. All right, all this is very good, sir. We understand. What is the take home for us? We understand what are human qualities. We understand what are divine qualities. Because we all need summary ultimately. Even for a 2-page note, we need a 2-line summary. We are used to that now. Everything has to be in a tab in 2 lines. Memory card. Now tell us, what do we take back from this talk as our memory card points? Quite natural. I'm not going to blame you for that. See, all this happens only because of 2 things. You reduce it. You can multiply. It's like a branch throwing different colors, different fruits, different flowers from the same tree. Imagine, but the seed is just the same. There are only 2 roots, 2 seeds to it. Acharyas live in Satyam and they practice Dharma. Our entire Sanatana Dharma stands only on these 2 legs. Satyam and Dharma. One who practices both, one who progressively moves towards it, is considered to be a practitioner of Sanatana Dharma. Otherwise not. So what do you mean by Satyam? See, Satyam according to us is speaking truth. That is all we know about Satyam. No, it's not that alone. See, speaking truth is a virtue. It's a quality. It's one of the yama. That is the first stage. You move to the next stage, you speak only truth and you acquire that virtue as part of your nature. Then the Trigunas dissolve into one guna called Sattva. That's the effect of Satya. So a virtue called Satyam, when practiced, converts your 3 guna. Triguna becomes 1. You stay most often, most of the times, only in Satya, in Sattva. Then you continue to practice Sattva guna, then you reach the philosophical plank of understanding Brahman Satya. Brahman alone is Satya, and rest is illusion. So, a quality called Satyam can migrate you finally into a mode where you will tend to believe and practice and acquire the state where you will understand Brahman alone is Satyam, rest is Mithya. Brahman, Satyam, Jagat, Mithya is illusion. Now, Satyam is a state of mind. When somebody exists in that state of mind, their thoughts, their words, their actions or deeds will only be grounded on dharma. When you sow mango seed, you won't get banana. It's against nature. So, a practitioner of Satyam, one who stays in the mode or in a state of Satyam, if he is a Jivan Mukta, he realizes rest is Mithya and he stays alone, aloof. He becomes indifferent to the world. But for a Pitadipati, in a Guru Parampara, which is Avichinna Guru Parampara, which is Jagat Guru Shankaracharya's Avichinna Guru Parampara, he can't stay aloof. Because every Guru, while initiating the Sishya, says, these are the divine commands which my Guru has taught me, has asked me to practice, therefore I hand it over to you as a baton. You should continue the lineage. So, such a Guru, when he thinks, when he speaks, when he performs any action, it has to be only dharmic action. Satyam cannot produce adharmam. And adharmam cannot produce satyam. They are mutually exclusive. Because they go as a pair. Satyam and dharmam is one pair. Asatyam and adharmam is another pair. You can't mismatch the pair. Impossible. Nature doesn't work that way. But now comes that, no, it looks simple. Oh, Satyam and Dharmam. How many of us practice that? Is the question. Are we doing our daily Anushtanams? Are we doing our Nitya Karmas? Acharya said, why do you come and tell me what I should offer? I'm not asking, has Acharya asked any devotee, give me this. You do me this favor. You somehow find this to be one devotee in his lifetime. If at all he says, do something, or guides you into something, it will be to your benefit to say, do this Anushtana. So, practicing Satyam and Dharmam is not easy. It's not an easy take at all. In fact, Mahasannidhanam, in all his Anugraha Bhashanams, several Anugraha Bhashanams always cites this example of Ramayana and Mahabharata. He'll say, throughout Ramayana and throughout Mahabharata, who has lived a more peaceful, pleasant, happy life, material life? In Ramayana, it is Ravana. And in Mahabharata, it is Duryodhana. 85% of their life has been only happy, or even 95% of their life. Take the converse heroes. Bhagavan Sri Rama suffered all throughout. Arjuna and the Pandavas suffered all throughout. So, it is easier to practice asatya because material world admits it. And we will get away most of the times for that particular moment. See, there are people who thrive on asatyam. From dawn to dusk, 24/7, 365 days, throughout their life, they can only speak lies. And if they become historians, if they become writers, if they become speakers, if they interact in public domain, my God, the way they mix fact and fiction and create lies, unimaginable strength it creates. Has our Sannidharam not narrated several stories? Somebody carrying two pairs of dogs with him. First person, second person, third person, fourth person assert their asses, their donkeys. So the man who's holding physically two dogs is led to believe, seeing those two dogs, are they donkeys? This is the power of asatya. It is so powerful. And it is easier to practice. Most of the time you will get away. And therefore, material world allows asatyam to remain as a core competence. Which is what Ravana and Duryodhana portrays. And when you practice asatyam, you will only do adharmic acts, one way or the other. But Mahasannidhanam says, finally, who succeeded in Ramayana and who succeeded in Mahabharata? One question. Second, who is remembered today as a hero after yugas? Will you name your child as Rama or Ravana? Will you name your child as Dharma or Arjuna or as Duryodhana? How many children are named as Duryodhana? How many children are named as Ravana? So who is remembered? So Acharya says, Satyam and Dharmam, inherently, one has to undergo pain, suffering, and punishments. Inherent to that. If you want to practice these two, you should be ready for that. You should be ready for a tough life. But ultimately, you will succeed. Ultimately, not immediately. And two, you will be remembered as a practitioner, because world pages of history retains heroes who have practiced only Satyam and Dharma. For the time being, somebody may be a hero. See, there are people who are questioning Shankara even today. There are people who are questioning the Shankara Digvijayam of Vidyaranya Maharaj. And during his times, it was such a glorious text. But it was mutilated. Sloka after sloka, page by page, syllable by syllable, to say it's a myth lie. After a few years, after a few decades. So, merely because you are able to conquer the world temporarily, because you practice Satya, because you practice Asatyam and Adharma, doesn't take you anywhere in life. So, the last take home is Satyam and Dharma. We'll conclude this talk with this Mahasannidhanam. Sannidhanam has now recently is now going to release a series of talks, Anugraha Bhashanams, in connection with the 71st Vardhan of Jyeshta of our Mahasannidhanam. So in the first episode, he has said, what are the qualities? See, forget whatever we have discussed. This discussion is only for our understanding, especially to the youth, young devotees of the Math, and young devotees of Sanatana Dharma in general. Now, Sannidhanam catalogs 12 qualities of who a guru is. If you want to know who a guru is, who should be a guru? 12 qualities. 1, born in a pious family. 2, nature is pure. 3, has conquered the senses. 4, knows the essence of the scriptures. 5, is aware of all the tenets of the Shastras. 6, engaged in the service of others. 7, immersed in japa and puja. 8, one whose words always come true. This is the power of Satya. 9, one who is in tranquility and peace. 10, one who is adept in Vedas and Veda Angas. 11, one who is adept in the yogic path. And 12, one who always remains in meditation with Bhagavan. Ask that question now, after this 1 hour. Do you found these attributes in yourself or in fellow human beings? So, we don't. And we therefore remain as jivas, as sishyas. Do you find these attributes in a Pitadipati sitting in Shringeri? If you want to do the tick box yourself, now the scorecard is with you. It will be 13 out of 12 and not even 12 out of 12. So, when you are blessed in our lifetime, see, we are born in a family to which we are attached to this Math as our Kulaguru. First strength. We are born in South India so that we know Dakshinamnaya Shringeri Sharda Peetham, which Shankara has, while establishing the 4 Amnaya Pitas, the 4 directions, in Dakshinamnayam, yes, established. It's the first mutt. And in 32 years, 12 years, Adi Shankara has spent it in Sringeri out of his 32 years of life, short life. And 3, you have an Avichinna Guru Parampara, taintless, spotlessly, blemishless, because it is Sharada Devi which rules, which reigns this Peetham of transcendental wisdom. Shri Vidya Rupini she is. There is no difference. Each one we can take. Whether Acharya and Sardambar are one and the same, another few hours we can speak about it, narrating several such incidences in our lives. So, when as a devotee, amongst the millions who are born in this planet, millions who were born earlier, and trillions who are going to be born in future, we have got a connect. Go and ask every Sishya. Mix with them, interact with them, try to know, read the Charitram of our Gurus, read the experiences of our devotees. There is so much to say. And everyone will be a debtor. There is no Sishya who says, Acharya is a creditor. I am a creditor to Acharya. You cannot say it in your life. It's not possible. Because we have only been blessed with mercy. We have only been blessed with ocean of compassion because he tolerates our ignorance. He tolerates our innocence. He forgives us of all the sins we commit. Waiting to see whether you will start seeing him as a divine being and gradually improve in dealing him and worshipping him as a spiritual Jivan. Now, having catalogued 12 qualities of who a Sadguru is, we will now show you a 5-minute video from that episode 1 of Sannidhanam. Us as a young mind asked this question, sir, in 2021, can you show you are cataloging 12 qualities, you are cataloging several other qualities, you are saying that our Mahasannidhanam and Sannidhanam sans all these qualities. Can you show one person in this universe if having all these 12 qualities? A question which you have justified as a young mind. We will allow that question. So who has to answer that question? Instead of me answering that question, we will now play a video. Sannidhanam is answering this question to you, not us. And after watching that 6 minutes video, I don't want to come back and speak because it frees us with ultimate blessings of Mahasannidhanam, and tomorrow is his Vardhanti. So we should wrap it up with that. So let me conclude. It's a wonderful opportunity, thanks to Swami Sharda and Basmati and the entire Guru Bandhava team, the entire Tattvaloka team, and the entire DOTS team for your selfless effort in doing this series. You have done a lot and you will do a lot because it's a good team, a selfless team, and it believes in Guru Seva. So thanks for thinking of us. Thanks for providing this great opportunity, especially on the eve of the Vardhanti day. I consider it a very, very auspicious moment in my life. I would have gone a vagabond in 1993 had I not seen Mahasannidhanam. Therefore, after concluding this, you will see that 5-minute video, and with that, we will wind it up. Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyama Asvatacharya Paryanta. Hey Guru Parampara. On behalf of the Sringeri Guru Bandhava channel, all the devotees offer our love, our pranams and respects to each other.
Mahapurushasya Sadguroho Lakshanani शास्त्रे अभिहितानि मातृतः पितृतः शुद्धः शुद्धभावो जितेन्द्रियः सर्वागमानां सारज्ञः सर्वशास्त्रार्थतत्त्ववित् परोपकारनिरतः जपपूजादितत्परः अमोघवचनशान्तः वेदवेदाङ्गपारगः योगमार्गानुसन्धायी देवता हृदयङ्गमः इत्यादिगुणसम्पन्नः गुरुरागमसम्मतः इति। अस्मिन् कलियुगे एतादृश लक्षणलक्षितः सद्गुरुः कुत्र अस्माभिः अवाप्तुं शक्यते इति प्रश्ने निश्चप्रचम् अस्माभिः वक्तुं शक्यते दक्षिणाम्नाय शृङ्गेरी शारदापीठे 36तमाः जगद्गुरवः श्री श्री भारतीतीर्थमहास्वामिनः उक्तलक्षणविशिष्टाः अस्माभिः द्रष्टुं शक्यन्ते इति।
वदनविधुतसूर्यं शुद्धचित्तैकधार्यं श्रितनगजनिभार्यं विस्मयापादिकार्यं निखिलविदितवीर्यं धर्मसन्त्राणधुर्यं त्रिभुवनगुरुवर्यं भारतीतीर्थमीडे।
जगद्गुरु श्री श्री भारतीतीर्थमहास्वामिनः अस्मद्गुरवः अस्य दक्षिणाम्नाय शृङ्गेरी शारदापीठस्य 36तमाः अधिपतयो भूत्वा सनातनवैदिकधर्मं श्रौतस्मार्त सदाचारं परिपालयन्तः सर्वानपि शिष्यजनान् अनुगृह्णन्तः सकलशास्त्रनदीष्णाः जिज्ञासून् यथायोग्यं धर्मतत्त्वं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं च प्रबोधयन्तः भगवतीं शारदापरमेश्वरीं भगवन्तं श्रीमच्चन्द्रमौळीश्वरं च सम्पूजयन्तः तत्सन्निधौ निखिलास्तिकजनतायाः योगक्षेमौ प्रार्थयमानाः निखिललोकवन्द्याः विराजन्ते।
चरीकृतीति बन्धनं यदीयशब्दवैखरी सरी स्मरीति शङ्करार्यवाक्कतिश्च यः समोः। चरीकृतीति बन्धनं यदीयशब्दवैखरी सरी स्मरीति शङ्करार्यवाक्कतिश्च यः समोः। बरीभरीति भारतीं स्वनाम्नि मानसे जयः स भारती सुतीर्थको जगद्गुरुर्गतिर्मम। बरीभरीति भारतीं स्वनाम्नि मानसे जयः स भारती सुतीर्थको जगद्गुरुर्गतिर्मम। स भारती सुतीर्थको जगद्गुरुर्गतिर्मम। स भारती सुतीर्थको जगद्गुरुर्गतिर्मम। स भारती सुतीर्थको जगद्गुरुर्गतिर्मम। जगद्गुरुर्गतिर्मम। जगद्गुरुर्गतिर्मम